purpose of today's video is to take a look at ecosystems and communities. Specifically, we'll keep on looking at how we describe the levels of ecological organization, and we will be describing biotic interactions as well as defining a niche. And so with a niche, we are looking at a range of physical and biological conditions that describe what an organism does, how it interacts with biotic and abiotic factors in the environment in order to get the resources that it needs to survive. And so with a niche, there's different aspects of it. And so we look at the resources available, so that's any necessity of life. So for plants, we're thinking about sun, water, soil nutrients. We're thinking about, for animals, the space, the shelter, the types of food available, the places to feed. We're looking at the physical aspects, so we're looking at abiotic factors as well. So for example, amphibians live in a moist place due to their skin. We have biological aspects, which will be different biotic factors that influence where an organism lives and how it survives there. We also can talk about tolerance, which is the ability for an organism to be able to survive and reproduce in a certain environmental circumstance. So for example, the graph shows you temperature and how outside of the optimum range would be hard for an organism to survive since it would challenge the homeostasis. Tolerance will determine the habitat where an organism lives. A habitat is an area that provides the organism with the basic needs for survival. We also look at competition, and so we look at competition as organisms are looking for similar resources like territory, mates, water, and food in the same environment. So with competition, we have intraspecific competition, which is between members of the same species. We have interspecific competition, which would be between members of different species. For competition, we also look at mimicry, which is when harmless organisms mimic a more dangerous one. This helps them to avoid predators and enhance their survival. We also look at secondary plant compounds. So these are compounds like poisons that can influence the interactions between plants and then other species and the environment. It helps to improve their survival and it protects them against other insects and predators. With competition, we talk about the competitive exclusion principle, and so by causing species to divide resources, competition helps to determine the number and kinds of species in a community and the niche that each species occupies. Basically, what this principle says is that two species can't survive in the same niche, in the same habitat at the same time, because one will be better suited to survive. So if you look at the graph on the right, when the red and the blue are alone, both of them survive very well. So the dotted line is when they're by themselves. Whenever they are together, however, the red survives better, and so its population will increase, and the blue population will decrease because there aren't enough resources or there's not enough physical stuff available in order to support it. Some biotic interactions we'll look at. We'll look at predation, herbivory, keystone species, and then symbiosis, looking at mutualism, parasitism, and commensalism. So with the predator-prey relationship, for predation, we're looking at the interaction where one animal is the predator and it feeds on the prey. Predators will impact the size of prey in the community and determine the place where prey can live and feed. So if a predator devours all the available food, then it won't be able to survive anymore, so it has to balance out. And so predators will regulate the size of the populations that they feed on. This gives you an idea of the cycle of predator and prey dynamics. And so we see that the prey is always higher, but the prey increases, and then shortly after that, the predators increase. And then whenever the predators increase, then the prey start to decrease, and then the predators start to decrease shortly after that. And then they decrease, so then the prey increase again, then the predators increase, and then they decrease. And so they're very closely related to one another. Another type of biotic interaction, so again, biotic interactions, we're looking at interactions between living things, is herbivory. So this is the interaction where the animal or an herbivore, also could be an omnivore, will feed on producers like plants. Herbivores will impact the size and distribution of the plant population, and it will determine where those plants can grow and survive. Other biotic interactions include keystone species. So this is when a single species will regulate other organisms in the community. For example, sea otters regulate their community size. They eat urchins, and so urchins eat kelp. So if a sea otter population declines due to hunting, then the kelp is almost entirely gone. This is because now the otters can't keep the urchins in check, and so then the urchins eat just a lot of kelp, and they aren't regulated in terms of the population size. The last types of biotic interactions are symbiotic relationships, or symbiosis. Symbiosis is the relationship where two species live closely together. So symbiotic mutualism means that both organisms benefit. Symbiotic parasitism means that one organism benefits and the other one is harmed. Symbiotic commensalism means that one organism benefits and the other organism is neither helped nor harmed. So for mutualism, we can look at where both species benefit. And so for the clownfish and the anemone, the clownfish can help to scare away some predators, and the anemone provides some protection for the clownfish. With symbiotic parasitism, this would be where maybe there's a parasite. It will typically weaken the host, but it won't kill it. So it does harm the host while the other organism benefits. And then symbiotic commensalism means that one organism benefits and the other one it doesn't impact it, so it is neither helped nor harmed.